Hey guys, welcome back to Dualin. And today we'll be learning about this important thing in React, that is keys. Okay, so what are keys? Why do we need keys? What happens if we don't have keys? All these things will be covered today. Okay, so yesterday, if you are in the Dualin group, you received this, the poll, right? You received a poll, right? So what does it say? Whether I sent a code snippet for you guys as a quiz, and you were supposed to identify whether it's right or wrong. So most of you said that it was right, and let's evaluate that today. Okay, and if you're not in our group, you can obviously check out our description box. There is a link for all our social media links. Okay, so let's jump into the code snippet first. We'll see what is React, what is keys in React, and what is this example. We'll just see an example of a mapped React component, and also let's see what happens if you have key and if you don't have a key. Okay, so I have a simple React project set up here that has all these things. So let me just zoom in a little bit. There you go. Okay. All right, so here what you have is you have a simple React component, very simple one, and we have this list of strings, an array of strings that has like these anime names, and basically we are just mapping over this list, and then we're outputting a h1 element. That's what we're doing. Okay, so this list here inside this map would contain the names, okay, the strings, and this index here would contain this index value, the numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3. So for example, if you do lists, okay, lists of 0, then you will get this first name, that is Naruto. Okay, so this 0 is the index here. Okay, so that's what we'll be getting here, this 0. For example, if you do the same thing, let's say you do list of 1, so you get Sasuke. Okay, similarly we have 2 Levi and 3 Aaron. 4, 5, 6 are undefined because we don't have them. Okay, so this 0 is the index, and whatever the value you get here is the list. Okay, now let's do that. Okay, now you can see I'm using a map here and I'm rendering multiple elements, right? I'm rendering multiple elements, like a list of elements. How do React actually keep track of them? How can you expect React to know, like, hey, these elements belong to a group and I need you to track them? How do you tell React that? Okay, there is no way of telling right now, right? Right now, React will just know this, will just consider this as a normal React element, h1 element, but it doesn't actually track any changes. I mean, it does tracks whether it is updated or not, but not in an efficient way. Okay, we need that. We need in an efficient way. How to do it? Let's just see the output first. Okay, let me just scroll to the output here, and you can see I'm getting all these Naruto, Sasuke, and all these names here, basically list of names. But if you scroll down and check the console, you can see we have an error. Sorry, warning. We have warning. It says each child in the list should have a unique key prop. So basically, it says it's just giving you a warning. Okay, it's not an error. It's just giving you a warning, and it says that hey, you seems like you're using a list of elements here, and then you have to specify a unique key prop. Unique. Okay, the key value should be always unique. Okay, let's just see how to provide that. Okay, for now let's take a naive approach here, and then let's provide key as index value. Why index? Because we know that the index would be always unique, because 0, 1, 2, 3, right? All the 0, 1, 2, 3 are unique among themselves, right? 0 and 1 are not equal, they are different, they are unique. That's the reason index might be a good choice for us over here. Okay, now let's just check the output. Let me save this. You can see this indicator, right? If this is dot, then it means that it is not saved. Okay, let's just go to the output. If you scroll down, let me refresh. This code sandbox doesn't pick up the changes properly. Okay, now we can see there is no error. Sorry, there is no warning. Why? Because we use keys, and that key satisfied the requirement of the React, where it should be unique. Yes, it is unique, and it should be a value, anything, number, string, anything, and it is a number. So we have specified the key, and then React is now able to track these elements. Okay, but why does it need to track these elements? Why can't it just show it on the screen? That's what we want, right? Why can't it just show it on the screen? The thing is, this key prop helps React to identify these elements. And then if you, let's say if you add an element or delete an element or update an element, right, in your code, eventually in the logic, then React needs a way to find and update only those elements in the DOM. Okay, now these names here are rendered in the DOM. Okay, so the ID of Naruto or the key of Naruto is 0, Sasuke is 1, Levi 2, and Eren 3. Let's say you update Sasuke to Kakashi or some other name or your name itself or my name Pavan. Okay, if I update this to Pavan in the code eventually, okay, then React needs a way, okay, a good efficient way to target only this element and update this on the DOM, and it should not update or touch these three elements. That's the efficient way here, right? Because I only updated this element and only this one should be updated later on, but not the other elements. That's what efficient way is here. And with the help of keys, React will find the key of this, which is 1, and then it will compare the updated value and the previous value. The previous value here is Sasuke. The updated value would be Pavan, my name. So both of these values have the same key of 1. Now React will say that, hey, looks like the value of the key 1 is updated. Let me just update that one. And then this name will be updated. Okay, the other key, that is 0, 1, 2, 3 will be remained untouched. Okay, if you don't have a key, then all these things will be updated because React will try to compare them in groups. Okay, React will try to compare them Naruto, Sasuke, Levi, Eren, and then the next update would be Naruto, Pavan, Levi, Eren. So it will compare them and update all these things. That's the reason you need a key prop. Okay, so that's what key is. That's why key is very essential in React. Okay, so you can just consider as a key is a prop or a value that helps React to identify which element has been added or changed or removed from a list of elements. Okay, that's what key is. Okay, hope you guys understood what exactly is key and how does it work and how does it compare and how does it efficiently update the DOM. Okay, now let's verify that. Okay, so when I sent out that particular code snippet, it was actually similar to this, right? It was kind of like similar to this, the code snippet that I sent you yesterday. So let's just see whether the answer that you've given me, okay, is valid. Okay, the index here, okay, using index as the key here is actually valid or not. Okay, so I have prepared this visual. I wanted to keep this very in a visualization way, where it's not like I just explain things in a theoretical way and then some of you might get it and some of you might interpret it in a different way and get confused even more. I didn't want that. So what I did is I built a simple a UI that actually shows the difference between using index as the key and then using your own custom ID as the key. Okay, so we'll look at that UI and then we'll go to the code base. Okay, so let me fetch that example right here. Okay, so I have this 2 UI here which has 2 input fields. Okay, predefined input fields. Okay, these are predefined. Okay, I have a state value. I'll show you that later. I'll show you the code later. This dangerous here uses the key index as the key value. Okay, so this dangerous here will use index as the key value. If you don't know index, this one. So I'm internally mapping here. I'm mapping this whole thing and then I'm using index as the key value. And this better section here uses ID as the key value. Where is this ID coming from? That's your question. It means that I'm defining a value. Okay, I'm personally defining a value called ID. Okay, for all these here. Okay, so this is basically an array of objects. I have this in the state. I'll show you later. And this thing, for now, consider this. This ID is a predefined custom value that I have given. Okay, so here this whole component will use index that is coming from the array as the key value, and this whole component will use ID which I am defining, which I have defined personally as the key value. Okay, now let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna enter a value here. I'm gonna say this is value for foo. I'm gonna copy this, enter the same thing here. Okay, this is value of, I'm gonna say of foo. Okay, now here I have a button called add items to the beginning. Okay, I forgot the T in the. Okay, add items to the beginning. Okay, now let's see what happens. Carefully look at this UI. We'll actually find a very big difference here. If I click on the button, what happened? A new value was added to the beginning. Something was added to the beginning, but look at the order. So here in the better section, you can see this value belongs to foo is actually in the foo key, right? In the foo input field, basically in the foo section. But if you scroll up and check this out, this value was moved to something called bars. And this is clearly not the value of bars, right? This should belong to foo, but why did it go up? Let's try to add one more value. Let's try to add one more element. Add item. Again, we added a new bars, and you can see this still is the value of foo, but if you scroll up, this went up again. Why is that? Why is that happening? This is the difference, right? Index and ID. We'll look into it in the code now. Okay, so remember one thing, remember this whole thing. Okay, this should have been like this. Okay, so this is actually valid because this value belongs to foo and it should be in the foo section. But now this keeps on moving. Even if I add one more item, you can see this stays here, but this moves on. Okay, it keeps moving up the ladder. Let's just see why is that happening like that. Okay, so here I have a code base. It's kind of big thing, big code, but I'll explain to you one by one easily. So you can ignore this index and everything, this div item and everything. These are nothing but input fields. Okay, input and div. These one. Okay, these data, you can ignore them. Let me show you the core logic. So here if you see, I have a state called list. The name is foo, and then this is a random ID. Okay, this is something like a random ID. Okay, this is a set of numbers. It can be 1 and 2 as well. It can be 1 and 2 as well, but I've just given it a complex number just for this demo sake. Okay, and if you remember, where did this, let me get this here. If you remember, where did this foo and bar come from? It came from here. Okay, it came from here. How did it come here? So you can see I'm actually mapping them. List. Okay, list. I'm actually mapping list twice. Okay, so I would get this to value. Okay, to input. I'm mapping them twice. Now, where is the difference here? Okay, where is the difference here? You can see here for the key, I'm using index. This item here is coming from here. Item is a different function that will output a component that is basically a form group. Okay, this whole thing, this foo and this input field is a form group item. Okay, so here for the dangerous one, I'm using key as index. Okay, and for the better one, I'm using the key as todo.id. Where is this ID coming from? Here, the ID that I've defined personally. Okay, so this is the ID. Okay, so I'm passing a custom ID that I have defined for the better one, and for the dangerous one, I'm passing the index that is coming from the array. So now what's happening is, let me show you in visualization way. What's happening is in dangerous one, right? In dangerous, what's happening is, let's say you have foo here, okay, and you have input field, and you enter some value. Let's say you enter foo. Okay, you enter foo here, but what is the key prop? What is the key prop of this? It's 0, right? Why 0? Because it is the first element of the array. This is an array, okay, array of objects, and this is the first element, right? So this key would be 0, this key would be 0, and this key would be 1. Okay, so now, and then we have one more, that is bar. We have bar, and then this will be empty, and this will be 1. So this was the initial state in danger. We entered some value here, like let's say this value is of foo, and then we click the button. Then what happened was a new element was added. So when you click the button, add item, you can see we are adding a new element called bars, where in the front of the array, at the beginning of the array, and then we are actually spreading the rest of the element. So now a new object called bars will be added here. Okay, at the top. Okay, at the top. And this will become the element 0 now. This will become 1 and this will become 2. Now you can see, right? Now since bars was added on top, right, bars was added on top dynamically when we click on the button, and the index became 0 for the bars, because why? It is the value, because it's the first element now, right? So obviously the index would be 0, and here the foo would become 1 and the bar would become 2. Now the index changed, right? But where did we enter the value here? Where did we enter the value? For the key 0. And what is the key 0 now? Bars. That's the reason the value which you entered actually went up. And even if you add the elements multiple times, multiple elements will be added here, and the index will be 0 for the first element. And whatever the data that you enter here, right, enter here for the dangerous one, this will be tracked with respect to this index value, that is 0. So whatever the value that would be here, like let's say bars, or let's say pavan, or dualan, whatever the value give here, this index value that you are entering here will be considered as, React will consider that it belongs to the first element, that is 0. Okay, but what about the better one here? Here in this case we are using id, right? Id. So React will try to match the id instead of the index value. Okay, so in our case here, in better one, in foo, we gave a value, and then we have some custom id, right? Custom id. So React will try to match that id, find the matching element, and then it will say, hey, seems like this value belongs to you. Okay, and that is valid. Okay, here since we are comparing 0, 1, 3, sorry 2, the index values as the key, React will try to find the index value rather than the exact parent which the value belongs to. Okay, in our case, let's say this is dualan, and if I copy paste here, add item, you can see here, since I used id here, React is able to assign the same value to the id, the owner of that value. But here, since it is being tracked via index, this value is moved to the index 0. Got it? Understood? It doesn't matter if it's 0, if you enter here as well, it happens the same thing, it will move up. Okay, so cool. So I hope I made this clear for you guys. Okay, it's very, very important to learn this. And again, if there's a question like, is it really bad to use index as key? It's not. Okay, it's really not bad to use index as key. When to use index as keys? Okay, so if you want to use index as key, make sure that you are dealing with static data. Static data in a sense, it doesn't change later. Okay, if you are dealing with applications like sorting, filtering, do not use index as keys, because sorting and filtering requires the dynamic logic. Those things are dynamic logic, so do not use keys over there, use id. Of course, if you are let's say you're building an e-commerce website like Amazon, Flipkart, okay, and you're listing on all the products, so product will have an id, right? Use that id as the key, do not use index. Okay, but in case of index, let's say you are rendering a list of speakers for an event page, that speakers event won't change, right? You won't be having a sorting or anything for that, right? In that case, you can use index. So those are static data, they won't change or they won't get updated later, so you can use index. That is fine. Okay, so that's fine in that case. And so again, telling you guys, using index is fine, it's not wrong, but you have to know where you're using it. Okay, different use cases requires different types of implementation, so make sure that when you use index as key, it is for static data, not for dynamic data. Okay, for dynamic data in a sense, like whenever you need reordering or filtering or sorting, all these things, make sure to use id. Okay, and yeah, that is it for today videos, guys. I really hope you were able to understand this. Okay, if you have any doubt, again, do not worry about it, just hit us up. You can join our Discord. Okay, so we have this amazing initiative in our Discord, where we have like today I learned section, where you can learn, where we actually post everything that we learn throughout the day. Okay, and if you have any doubts, you can also comment here in the YouTube video, or else you can also join our Discord. The link is in description, all the links are in description. Okay, and you can basically ping us. Okay, I'll be online anytime in dualan. Okay, so you can ping us anytime you want. Okay, so we have a different section here, you can ping us anytime you want. And basically, as I told you, we have this today I learned session where we actually post many things that we learn throughout the day, basically a summary of it, so that it create a healthy environment for learning. So do join our community. The links are in description, and I'll be posting this source code, this particular source code, in the description as well, so that you guys can have a better look at it. Okay, so with that said, again, we'll have a next web development video next Wednesday. So web dev Wednesday, do not forget to, if you guys like this video, please share and subscribe and like this video. And if you learned something, I really recommend you guys to share in social media with the hashtag of hashtag duo learn web dev Wednesday or web dev Wednesday. Okay, so again, thank you so much guys, have a good day, bye bye.